Yes, sir. Welcome to Dimers TV. Yes, sir. Welcome to Dimers TV. Medyo solo lang ako ngayon. Busy yung mga kasama eh. Yes, sir. Welcome to Dimers TV. Medyo solo lang ako ngayon. Anyway, welcome to Dimers TV. This is episode 3 and we're doing it live. Yes, sir. Welcome to Dimers TV. Medyo solo lang ako ngayon. Promised. Anyway, welcome to Dimers TV. This is episode 3 and we're doing it live. Yes, sir. Welcome to Dimers TV. Medyo solo lang ako ngayon. Promised. Anyway, welcome to Dimers TV. This is episode 3 and doing We'll start in a few minutes. Okay, let's start. Again, the draft will be on Friday. So, in preparation for that draft, we have prepared our very own mock draft. Okay, so simulan na natin. So, before anything else, again, we would like to thank yung mga naging sources namin for making this mock draft for CBS Sports, nba.com, Bleacher Report, ESPN, nbadraft.net, nbadraftroom, and then yung ProBallers, no? Very important yan for the stats and of course, basketball reference. No? So we basically put them all together, yung mga nakuha namin, scouting reports, stats, yan, para magkaroon tayo ng in-depth view dun sa ating upcoming draft on Friday. Okay, so simulan natin with yun na ba ang unang team on the clock. It's gonna be the Detroit Pistons. They are now on the clock. Okay, so the Pistons are obviously nagre-rebuild ngayon. Last year, they drafted really well. No, maganda yung mga nakuha nilang players. Killian Hayes, yun nga lang na-injure. But he showed a lot of potential. Siyempre si Sadiq Bey played really well. So sino kaya yung kukunin ng Detroit as the number 1 pick? So here we go. There we go. The pick is in and the Pistons select. They select Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State. Okay, so Cade Cunningham first, medyo consensus, number 1, unless you're a Jalen Green fan. Because he's a freshman, he's only 20 years old, 6'8", 220. These are his numbers. Last year, during his freshman year, so ito mga ka-dimers, no? 20 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists per ball game, and shot 43.8% from the field. So ito yung scouting report na nakuha natin kay Cade Cunningham coming from CBS. So in terms of his passing, no, he's an elite passer. Incredible yung kanyang court vision, as they call it. Very high basketball IQ. And may sinasabi dito about excellent positional size kasi nga he's 6'8". Pero he can play multiple positions, no? So that's really good dahil lalo na ngayon dito sa ating the way the game is played, you know, positionless basketball. So he can fit in perfectly to any team. And then, ang isa sa mga assets na nakita natin kay Cade is his ability to create his own shot. No? So, yan yung pinaka maganda nating nakita kay Cade Cunningham. Specifically, kapag umaatake siya ng one-on-one. Okay. Now, some of the weaknesses, well, these are things that he can still improve on. Bata pa naman si Cade Cunningham. No? During his lone season in college, medyo turnover prone si Cade. So he can work on that. I'm sure as his game matures, mas madedevelop naman niya. No? Hindi na yan, kukunti na yung mga turnovers na yan. And then, kasama na rin dito, of course, yung he was criticized sa mga late game blunders niya during the tournament. Some games, no, during his lone season with Oklahoma State. And of course, in time, he'll get there. But of all the weaknesses, ito siguro yung pinaka glaring weakness ni Cade Cunningham. Yung kanyang, hindi naman sinasabing wala siyang maayos na first step. No? It's just that it's not as elite as, let's say, a Jalen Green. He's not as explosive kasi. Okay, so that's the reason why sa pro comparison, si Cade being compared to Luka Doncic. Tapos ako, nasabi ko na rin to, I see a lot of Grant Hill in him. You know, a young Grant Hill. It's just that yung iba lang, parang hindi siya masyadong kasing explosive. Kasi very athletic si Grant Hill, especially during yung run ni Grant Hill as a superstar from 94 to 2000. Okay, so that's our first pick. No? Aming mock draft, Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State. Let's now proceed to the next team, and that team is the Houston Rockets, and they are now on the clock. Okay, the Rockets are now on the clock. Of course, the Rockets last year parted ways with their longtime superstar James Harden. And then they were obviously in rebuilding mode. Umalis na rin si Daryl Morey, who transferred to Philadelphia. And this year, they have 3 first-round picks. Starting with the second pick. Sino kaya ang kukunin ng Houston Rockets based on our mock draft? Here we go. Ayan na. The Rockets select. The pick is in. Jalen Green. Yes, sir. Okay, so Jalen Green, he played, coming out of high school, he was the top high school prospect. Yes, better than all of the others. And it was such a big move when he decided na maglalaro siya sa G League. Naging kakampi niya pa si Kai Soto. Of course, Jalen Green is also a Phil-Am, so we're very proud of him as well. These were his numbers. Take note, he produced these numbers hindi sa college level. He produced this in the G League, playing against young NBA prospects, playing against ex-NBA players, and basically playing against professional players. No? So, ibang klase din yung, so that says a lot, 17.9 points, 4.1 rebounds, 2.8 assists. Major strength ni Jalen Green, he can really score. He's a bucket getter. He's very explosive, he's very bouncy. And with his 6'6", as of now 178, I'm sure he's gonna work on his body even more. He's the prototypical two-guard. With the size, with his athleticism, and of course his scoring upside. And then, some of the things that Jalen Green can work on, And then, of course, will be his facilitating. Um, of course, kung magiging scorer siya, hindi man pwedeng tira lang siya ng tira. He also needs to work on his passing game so that hindi naman siya maging masyadong predictable. And then, dun sa G League, na-notice then based dun sa scouting report ng CBS, that he kind of he settled too much sa mga threes, no? Like he was, instead of like attacking the basket, minsan medyo nadadala siya taking a lot of threes. And then of course, ang pro comparison ni Jalen Green, Zach Levine, and a little bit of a young Kobe Bryant as well. So that's it. That's the prospect. I know that the Rockets are rumored to really want to get to number 1 so that they can get Cade. As of the moment, they are at number 2. And for us, they will be getting not a bad, not a bad consolation prize if that's how you want to look at it in Jalen Green. So let's now go to the third pick. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are now on the clock. So some things that we need to remember about the Cavs. They're still rebuilding. They're still finding ways kung paano mamumove si Kevin Love. But at least, no? Ganda yung pinakita ni Darius Garland. Some of their young guys. Yan, Chadi Osman. Last year, they drafted Ike Okoro. Okay, so the pick is in, and the Cleveland Cavaliers select Evan Mobley from USC. Yes, he's considered to be the best big man in this draft. He's also a freshman, by the way. 7 feet, 210 pounds. Definitely needs to work on that body, but these were his numbers based on ESPN's stats. 16.4 points, 8.7 rebounds, and shot a very high percentage from the field at 57.8%. Again, he's a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan. For those who have seen Evan Mobley play, alam natin na he's definitely not stiff. You know, he can really move well for a big man. He's an elite shot blocker, and he's also a very talented scorer as well. Now, some of the things that Mobley needs to definitely work on, which he will hopefully develop, will be his three-point shooting. That's technically essential dun sa the way the game is being played. He only shot 30% in college. And then 69.4% only from the free throw line. And kagaya nga nung sabi ko kanina, hindi pwedeng 210 pounds na. Kailangan he has to work on that body. And ang pinaka-pro comparison ni Evan Mobley, for those who want to have a reference, marami siyang similarities kay Chris Bosh. Yes, and that will be a great addition for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's now proceed to the next team. The Toronto Raptors, and they are on the clock. Okay? Mapansin nyo, medyo kakaiba tong oras natin. Iba-iba ng seconds. So bigyan naman natin ng konting oras yung Toronto Raptors just to give them some time. Ano ba yung nangyari sa Toronto? They were the champions in 2019. Even when they lost Kawhi, yung year after, that was, last season. This season, yung may bubble. They still played well. No? I think they made it to the second round of the bubble, but then got eliminated. And then, last year, it was a different story. Talagang, hindi na sila, you knew that they weren't gonna contend. There are rumors that they might be trading Pascal Siakam. The Warriors are very interested in Siakam. So they are in rebuilding mode, and it would be a good start if that would be the case with this pick, the fourth pick in the draft. Kyle Lowry, most likely gone as well. Okay, so the pick is in, and the Toronto Raptors select Jalen. First, Jalen Suggs, ano yan? Sobrang trending siya during the NCAA tournament when he hit that game winner, right? During the Final Four, sobrang clutch nung bucket na yun ni Jalen Suggs. Unfortunately, their perfect season did not end so perfectly as they lost during the national championship game. Again, Jalen Suggs is a pure point guard. He's 6'4", 205. What a run for Gonzaga, by the way. 14.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and he shot 50% from the field. Sa lahat ng nakapanood kay Jalen Suggs during the season, you could just see yung pagiging natural point guard niya. You know, he's an elite passer. And then, ang pinaka-okay din kasi sa kanya, hindi lang siya magaling mamasa, magaling din siya mag-shoot. No? So, even though he does have to improve his three-point shooting because he only shot 33.7% from deep. Now, pero pagdating naman dun sa the way he runs the offense, as a leader, you know, his motor, wala tayong masasabi dito kay Jalen Suggs. Ang kanyang pro comparison, of course, si Jason Kidd. Some say he's like a young George Hill, the same size as well. But I think he's more of a Jason Kidd who, you know, who is just a better shooter at that time. You know, when Kidd came out of Cal, he only played 1 year there as well. So parang pareho lang ni Suggs, kaya lang parang mas better shooter tong si Jalen Suggs. Okay, so maganda yan. Kasi kung mawawala na nga si Kyle Lowry, then you now have your future franchise point guard here in Jalen Suggs. Very good for the Toronto Raptors. Let's now go to the next team. And they have 1 minute. The Orlando Magic. What a rough season for the Orlando Magic. Ha? Sobrang kakaiba yung nangyari sa kanila. Like they obviously wanted to win last year. They had the pieces. They had Nick Vucevic. They had Aaron Gordon. They had Evan Fournier. A healthy Markel Fultz, right? And then after the quick start, I think they went like 5-0 or something like that. Biglang na injure si Markel Fultz, and yun na. That was it. And then they started losing. They ended up trading their best players. Now Vucevic went to Chicago, and then Evan Fournier went to Boston. Aaron Gordon went to Denver, and they're obviously going to be rebuilding now. Great young assets. Cole Anthony. Kuha rin nila si RJ Hampton from Denver. So the pick is in, by the way, and the Orlando Magic picks or selects Scotty Barnes. He's listed here as a guard, but he's actually more of a forward, you know, a point forward for that matter. 6'9", 227, pro body, also a freshman, so very young. Now the numbers won't, you know, if you look at his numbers at Florida State in that 1 year or one and done year, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Parang hindi naman masyadong ganun ka, you know, you won't be blown away by those numbers. Pero because of the way he can play like that point forward, you know, he really reminds you a lot of a Draymond Green. And then his ability to guard all positions as well. Another thing about him, kung ba't siya nako-compare kay Draymond, kasi magaling din siyang mag-facilitate. You know, yun yung pinaka-asset ni Scotty Barnes. Eh. The assets of Draymond Green, yung defense at yung facilitating ability, yun din yung meron si Scotty Barnes. No? So, yun, parang ano rin siya, no? May potential din siya na maging triple-double type of player. Or if medyo hater kayo ni Draymond Green, sasabihin nyo triple single, yung mga ganyan. I don't know if, the way, ano lang yan eh, it's a matter of perspective, no? How you would look at it. And then, yung mga weaknesses niya, same weaknesses din ni Draymond, at yung isa pang compare sa kanya, nako, medyo, I don't know if you will like this, Ben Simmons. Kasi nga, he's a non-shooter. Yan yung, huwag na nating i-sugarcoat. He's a non-shooter. So he shot only 27.5% from deep. Tapos 62% from the line. Siyempre, medyo kakabahan ka ng konti pag gano'n. No? Kasi alam naman natin yung nangyayari ngayon kay Ben Simmons. Nagiging liability kasi, lalo na the way the game is played right now. Okay? So that's the pick for the Orlando Magic. Let's now go to the sixth team, the sixth pick. And let's give the OKC Thunder, they are now on the clock, 50 seconds. OKC has like 1 million first round picks in the next, 8 years. Parang halos yata ng first round picks kinukuha na nila eh. First round, second round. Kaya makikita nyo dito sa draft na to, gaano kadami yung picks ng OKC, and it's just the start. And it's just the beginning of many more drafts na puro ganun. Okay, Sam Presti has done a fantastic job of collecting assets. And sooner, especially with the young Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the Thunder will be back. Dami nilang young players, young assets. So the pick is in, and the OKC Thunder selects James Bouknight. Okay, so baka yung iba magulat at mapaganito. Okay, hindi naman. First kasi si James Bouknight, he only played 15 games ng kanyang sophomore year. Tapos, yun nga, hindi kasi maganda yung pinakita niya when he came back. Diba? Like, when he came back from the injury, from that elbow injury, hindi naging maganda yung pinakita niya. Pero maganda naman yung naging mga workouts niya. First, this guy is being compared to pinaka talagang number 1 comparison niya si Jordan Clarkson. He's a bucket getter, no? Reminds you a lot also of the way Devin Booker plays and also Bradley Beal. May pagkaganon, may pagka-streaky din as well. But, he is a guy who can finish above the rim. He's a bucket getter. Pagdating sa defense, he's good enough, no? So, the Thunder, well, as of the moment, mawawala dyan, no? If they feel like Bouknight is the best talent available at this stage, then go for it. It's not a bad pick at all. Okay, so again, nakita naman natin, maganda naman yung kinalabasan nila Jordan Clarkson at Devin Booker. So hopefully, James Bouknight will also be that way as well. Okay, so let's now go to the next team. And it's the favorite of many. Walang iba, kundi ang Golden State Warriors. Okay, so for the Warriors, they have 2 picks in the lottery, 7th and 14th. Marami nagsasabi baka hindi nila i-keep tong mga picks na to because they want an established star. But as of the moment, we're gonna go with the fact that dahil hindi pa naman pwedeng maging official yung mga yun, after pa ng draft, magiging official. So let's go with the fact that they will draft. They will draft at 7. Lang natin. I hope it's still working. I don't know if it's still working or having troubles with it. Ayan, nasa Warriors na ba tayo? Sorry kung nawala ba tayo? I have no idea kung nawala tayo. I'm sorry. Okay, so I hope naman tayo nawala. Okay, so let's proceed. Ang pick ng Warriors. Okay, balik na tayo sa pick ng Warriors. Bumalik na kaya ng maayos, I hope. Ayan. Bumalik na tayo, guys. Okay, sorry for that. Sorry, first time lang namin nag-live. Okay, so the pick of the Warriors again, sabi nga natin, di natin sure if they will keep it. Pero I think if they will draft, it's either they're gonna go for a big or they're gonna go for a shooter. And they will, in this case, for us, they will go with Jonathan Huminga. Okay, kakampihan ni Jalen Green sa G League Ignite. Naging kakampi din ni Kai Soto to. He was considered to be the second best player dun sa G League Ignite team. No, he's 6'6", 210. The average good, the numbers were good. 15.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Now, another good thing pala about Kuminga, he's still very young. He's only what, 18? Yeah, sobrang bata pa ni Jonathan Kuminga. So, yun naman yung okay. Tapos, yun lang, ang nagiging problema nga na, of course, dahil nga sobrang bata niya pa. So, he's still very raw. Medyo may pagka-unpolished pa. So, yun lang naman yung nagiging question mark. But of course, if you're getting a guy who's 18, yes, a lot of time to still improve. You know, the potential is there. He's a good finisher around the rim. He can play multiple positions, can defend multiple positions. Pro comparison niya si Jalen Brown. Ngayon, if the Warriors trade this pick, and they most likely found a deal na makakakuha sila ng isang established na player. Okay? So that's it. Let's proceed to the next team. Yan, the 8th pick. So the Orlando Magic are once again gonna pick. Yan. Okay, so the Orlando Magic, nabanggit na nga natin kanina, they're rebuilding. So this is their second pick sa top 10. And they will select Davion Mitchell. Of course, he played so well for the national champions, Baylor Bears. He's a junior. He's only 6'1", 202. So well-built yung body even though hindi siya masyadong matangkad. He averaged 14 points, 2.7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, shot the ball pretty well at 51.1%. Yung pro comparison niya, ewan ko siguro dahil doon sa number, dahil doon sa apelido, and just also the way he plays na hindi rin naman kasi masyadong matangkad si Donovan Mitchell. So yun, maraming nakakakita na para siyang si Donovan Mitchell. Ang pinaka-okay was the fact that he is really like Donovan Mitchell, very explosive first step. Magaling mamasa, magaling mag-create. Medyo worry lang nila yung size. Medyo average size lang ng point guard. Tapos, hindi din siya masyadong, he needs to improve on those free throws. You know, if you're a guy who's gonna attack the basket, syempre, you're gonna go to the line and you have to make your free throws. Hindi pwedeng 65.7%. So we played 3 years in college and shot only 65.7% from the free throw line. So yun naman yung medyo kailangan lang na ma-improve ni Davion Mitchell. Yun nga lang, I don't know if the Magic ends up getting him. They already have Cole Anthony, they have Markel Fultz, they have RJ Hampton. I don't know if they go with a need, they might not go with this pick. Pero for talent-wise, ito yung magandang kunin for them. They're just going for the best available talent. Let's now proceed to the next team, and that team is the Sacramento Kings. Yan, team to. Pag sinabing Sacramento Kings, isang tao lang ang lagi ko naaalala. Walang iba dyan. Walang iba kundi si main man Kevin Cruz. Shout out kay main man Kevin Cruz kung nanonood ka man ngayon. Kevin or kay Kevs, no? Ito na. I just hope and pray that this is not gonna be part of the long list of disaster picks for the Sacramento Kings. Itong number 9. No? This is the 9th pick. Ano maging maayos naman. No? Kasi alam niyo naman kung gaano hindi naman malas. No? It's more of mga bad decisions lang by the franchise per se. So a lot of rumors about Buddy Hield getting traded daw for Kyle Kuzma. Iba natin kung mangyayari yan. Basta here it is. The pick is in for the Sacramento Kings and they select Franz Wagner from Michigan. Okay, so may mga nagsasabi parang si Franz Wagner parang ala Kyle Anderson. So bakit parang ala Kyle Anderson? Kasi same sila ng style, no? Hindi athletic. In fact, below average yung parang si Kyle Anderson, di ba? Si slow-mo. Hindi din talaga athletic pero mataas ang basketball IQ. Malakas humustle at magaling din facilitate, no? So yun naman yung okay kay Wagner. So you're looking at a guy who's gonna be doing a lot of good things for you, though he's not flashy whatsoever. Pero ano siya, no, very effective siya. That was in his 2 years with Michigan. So the number is 12.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot very well from the line as well. No. But again, yun nga, yung problema is he kind of struggled from the 3-point area. Medyo problema ngayon yan pag hindi ka 3-point shooter, no? Hirap mag-excel sa league when you're not a 3-point shooter because everyone is taking the 3. So, medyo nagiging liability ka, especially kung lahat ng mga sets ngayon ay hindi na nga siya basta 4 out, 1 in lang Minsan nga 5 out na nga lahat no? Tapos tira na. They were like the most disappointing team itong last season. I'll give them some extra seconds and nag-late naman yung start. Kasi, I mean, they had Zion, they had Brandon Ingram, they had Lonzo Ball, they have Josh Hart. Tapos, yung mga developing players na Jackson Hayes, etc. But it didn't translate to wins. And, I mean, parang if you have a generational talent like Zion Williamson, who was an all-star, Brandon Ingram, who was an all-star. Parang you should be winning. And then Lonzo also played well, pero parang hindi naman nila, parang wala. I mean, Lonzo maybe doesn't want to be there. So, disappoint lang that they didn't really win. And now they get to draft at 10. Tingnan natin kung sino kukunin nila. The pick is in. The Pelicans select Josh Giddey from Australia. Yan. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo sa ProBallers. No? Kasi for most of these international players, wala yung mga stats nila available. So, kailangan sa ProBallers kayo tumingin. Okay, so si Josh Giddey played for the Adelaide 36ers na ngayon ay paglalaroan ni Kai Soto. If Giddey decided not to enter the draft, magiging magkakampi sana sila ni Kai. Okay, so guys, the kid is still very young. But he was a walking triple-double dun sa NBL. You know, if they regard him as a small forward, but he's actually, the way he plays is like a natural point guard. Magaling siyang distributor, solid playmaker, tapos dahil nga 6'8 din siya, so pwede rin siyang mag-defend ng maayos. By the way, itong pick na to ng Pelicans, kasi may rumored trade na to. Di ba may trade na parang hinihintay na lang nilang maging final. So baka mapunta to sa Memphis. No? So if that's the case, Giddey will be going to the Memphis Grizzlies instead of the Pelicans. Okay, tapos ngayon, mataas din ang basketball IQ ni Josh Giddey. And then, of course, he's still very young. So, marami pa siyang pwedeng i-improve. He's only 19? Magna-19. 18 ba nga lang siya dito coming draft. And then, he does have to improve his ability to score the basketball. Kino-compare kasi siya kay Denny Avdia. And ang nakita nga natin problem kay Denny, hindi naman yung mga other things na ginagawa ni Denny sa court, pero yung ability niyang mag-score, no? Yun yung, syempre kailangan din kasi meron ka rin, threat ka rin dapat. If you wanna be like, bakit nangyari kay Ben Simmons, diba? Like, sobrang elite ka niyang passer, pero hindi mo siya nagsuscore. So, ba't ko pa siya babantayan? Hindi mo siya tumitira sa labas. So, yun yung nagiging problema. But the problem kasi kay Giddey, he's not like Ben Simmons, na athletic. He doesn't have that quick first step. So, it will be harder for him to produce kung ganun yung mangyayari. Okay? So, but first, he's still young, so he can still improve. Now, let's go to the next team. And that team is LaMelo Ball's team, the Charlotte Hornets. Of course, they're making headlines because kunin nga daw nila si LiAngelo para sa Summer League team. Sabi nga namin, parang si LiAngelo Ball, ang tanging player na hindi pa pagdaro sa NBA. Pero makes headlines for making the Summer League team. Ganun katindi yung popularity nila, ganun mga Ball brothers. No? Just imagine LiAngelo making it to the head. I mean, siya yung headline ng isang araw for making it to the Summer League team of the Charlotte Hornets. Like, come on, man. Pero sige. Well, the Hornets, they got the Rookie of the Year in LaMelo Ball. Finally, Michael Jordan did it. Yes, sir. Michael Jordan did it. Yun, hindi siya na ganon. This time, he did it well. Okay, so congratulations to MJ for finally getting a prospect that looks legit. So, yeah, parang try until you die na lang yung mentality dyan. Okay, so the Hornets select Moses Moody from Arkansas. Okay, so marami, kung titignan yung mga mock drafts, hindi naman si Moses Moody makikita nyo dito sa pick na to. No? Pero kami, kaya ako siya pinili kasi he reminds us a lot of a guy who just played in the finals, and that is Mikal Bridges. No? Parang si Mikal din, nung pumasok sa NBA, wala naman masyadong trinade nga siya ng Sixers, di ba? Sabi mo, nanay niya, nagtatrabaho na nga with the organization, trinade pa rin nila si Mikal. Anyway, Mikal turned out to be really good, and that's what we see also with Moses Moody, lalo na sobrang kailangan ngayon yung mga 3-and-D na players. No? A solid 3-point shooter, and then he can defend. Now, some issues lang with Moses Moody, hindi siya ganun ka-explosive na athlete. Like Mikal Bridges, he kind of struggles to create his own shot as well. And medyo may problem din in terms of finishing at the rim. So, ngayon, kung nagtataka kayo, sir, masyadong binibigyan ng pukon. Kasi, dun sa mga players who turned out to be, medyo hindi nag-live up sa expectations, isa sa mga lagi nilang naging problema ng college is yung ability nila or lack of ability nila to finish around the rim. Okay? So, yun. Ngayon, numbers 16.8, 5 points, and then 5.8 boards and 1.6 assists for Moses Moody. Okay, he'll be going to the Charlotte Hornets, and that is according to us. Dito sa mock draft. Okay, let's now proceed to the next team, and the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, ang San Antonio Spurs ni Sir Paul Lareza. Okay, what's up Sir Paul? Kung nanonood ka, ito is sa mga pinakilala kong diehard fans ng San Antonio Spurs. na medyo na-convert sa Milwaukee nitong nakaraang finals. Pero ano naman yun gano'n naman. Pero I'm sure babalik ito. Diehard to. Sir Tonyo Borromeo as well. Ano rin yan, mga diehard San Antonio fans din yan. So ano na yung outlook sa San Antonio? We don't know. We don't know what's up. Ito na lang, diretsuhin ko na lang. Since Tim Duncan retired, kahit ito kahit nung, di ba may Kawhi Leonard pa, may LaMarcus Aldridge, but the Spurs just never looked the same. Parang, when Duncan decided to, leave the game already, iba na rin yung San Antonio. Nasabihin ng iba, kasi umalis naman kasi si Kawhi. Oo, party. Pero they're now just they're just barely a playoff team right now, even though with, they're still coached by Pop. Okay, so they do have a young player in Keldon Johnson who's really balling. Okay, so ito yung pick nila. Si Devin Vassell. Si Devin Vassell, last year, yun yung lottery pick nila. Hindi masyado maganda yung pinakita. Pero this time, they're gonna go with, for us, a guy from Oregon, si Chris Duarte. Okay, so si Chris Duarte played really well. He's a senior. So 4 years in college. Maraming mock drafts ang sabi para siyang si Dylan Brooks. Yan yung sabi ng CBS. He played really well during the senior year. He's a shooter, to say the least. This guy is a dead shot. Okay, so maganda sa kanya dahil nga ano na siya, no? So older na siya. He's a guy who's ready to play. Problema lang din kasi doon, especially with him, he's already 24 years old. Sabi nga dito, he's 5 years older than the other lottery picks. So, anong kapalit nun? Siyempre, yung potential niya becomes limited. Kasi parang what he is now is, parang yun na yun, no? What you see is what you get. So, tingnan naman natin, sana naman magkaroon pa siya ng improvement, no? And hindi naman porke senior na wala ng improvement. So, yun. Chris Duarte going to the Spurs, so they're gonna add another shooter to their team. So let's proceed to the next team. The Indiana Pacers. They are now on the clock. And it seems like the Pacers made a mistake when they let go of their coach, Nate McMillan, who led them to the playoffs, by the way. And now si Nate McMillan is the new head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Dahil after niyang mag-take over, that Atlanta Hawks, that team just started winning and went all the way to the conference finals. On the other hand, the Indiana Pacers traded away Victor Oladipo. Napaaway yung iba nilang players dun sa kanilang coach. And now that coach has been fired. And ngayon, we don't really know kung anong direction na ang pinupuntahan ng Pacers. But at least, the silver lining there is they have Domantas Sabonis, they have Malcolm Brogdon, and they have Caris LeVert. We don't know about Miles Turner. May mga rumors na baka matrade na daw si Miles Turner. So we'll see. Okay, so the pick is in. And the Pacers select Ty Jones from Texas. So wow, this is a surprise yan. Baka mapaganito na naman. Diba? Okay, kasi sa ibang mock drafts, so si Ty Jones ay hindi siya dito sa position na to, no? But pag nag-decide yung may lagay siya dito just because of the fact that baka nga kasi mawala si Miles Turner at kailangan mo ng kapalit. May ganong datingan din si Ty Jones, no? very raw pagdating sa kanyang offensive game. He's not a good free throw shooter. If at 218 pounds, he's not ready to bang with the big boys just yet. But he's very, very athletic. No? So, at pataas tumalon si Kai Jones. Okay, so yan. That's the reason why he's compared to a Jackson Hayes ng Pelicans at isang batang JaVale McGee, who was running around and jumping. Grabe rin yung athleticism ni JaVale nun. Hanggang ngayon naman eh. Pero when he was younger, grabe rin yung athletic ability niya. Yun nga lang, sana of course, he won't be making yung mga plays ni JaVale when he was younger. Okay, so again, Kai Jones, still very young, only a sophomore. And for us, he'll be going to the Indiana Pacers. Okay, next. Ayan. Next team, we have, again, the Golden State Warriors. Last pick sa lottery. Again, ulit-ulit na ako dito. Hindi natin sure kung i-keep nila tong mga picks nila because baka nga naghahanap sila ng mga players na or ng player for that matter na makaka-contribute na agad. No, hindi naging maganda yung experience last year with James Wiseman. Parang hindi win-win situation. Warriors wanted to win. Wiseman needs to develop. Parang hindi naging swak tuloy yung fit. No? So, baka i-trade nila itong mga picks na to. Kasama na itong 14th pick. And the pick is in. And here you go. Keon Johnson. Of course, he was like super, super impressive during the combine, no? Grabe to. Like, I think he set the record yata for yung vertical leap. So some of the things is being 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. What's so impressive is the fact that he's only a freshman, still very young. And that athleticism, hindi kasi natuturo yun eh. Yung pagiging super athletic. No? Tapos magaling din siya magdepensa. And also showed upside as a potential bucket getter as well. He's being compared to a young Kentavious Caldwell Pope, young KCP when he entered the league. Pero si KCP kasi nun regarded naman as a shooter, no? Si Keon Johnson, hindi pa siya shooter as of the moment. Only 26% from deep. Tapos, yan yung nagproblema, no? So, athletic na siya, pero kung hindi ka naman kasi makaka-shoot from the outside, then you're not a guy who will be able to space the floor. And that's a problem in today's NBA. Then he also needs to work on his handle. Okay? Next team on the clock, the Washington Wizards. The Wizards, mukhang nag-request na yata ng trade si gusto na ni Bradley Beal. Mukhang sila niya lumipat. You don't know about Russell Westbrook, even though Russell Westbrook had a fantastic finish dun sa season. And the fact that they still made it to the playoffs, di ba? Like, sobrang wala na yung Wizards eh. Pero mabot pa rin sila. They had to fight their way. Pero ngayon, I think they really have to rebuild now. You know, Rui Hachimura 2 years ago, Denny Avdia last year. This year, they're gonna go. This is the first pick outside the lottery, by the way. And they're gonna go with Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. Okay. You know, we always have this players March Madness, you know, the great college player. I don't know if Corey Kispert will be a star player in the NBA. Most people are saying he will not be a star player, but more of a role player. Just like with the other great college players, Right? But because this kid can shoot and he played 4 years in college, you hope, you hope na he will translate, at least in terms of his shooting. Kasi nagiging problema yung ano eh. Kanya, kung kino-compare siya kay Joe Harris, si Joe Harris was a second round pick before ng Cleveland. Hindi naman agad eh, di ba? Like, it took a while for Joe Harris to find his niche sa NBA. So, ganun din. Ganun din yung kay Corey Kispert. Ang nagiging problema nga kasi is yun nga, yung lack of foot speed, hindi naman solid masyado yung handles, no? Ano nakita din natin kanina kay Doug McDermott, di ba? Kay JJ Redick. Took them a while to find their niche. Pero kay Kyle Korver, right? So sana ganun yung mangyari kay Corey Kispert. Eventually finds a niche with a team that will get him. More of a specialist kasi siya. Okay, so the Thunder again are on the clock. Sabi ko sa inyo, marami itong sa OKC. Sobrang dami itong sa OKC. Para hindi ubusan ang first round picks ng OKC na ito. Pinuha na eh. Pinuha na lahat eh. Okay, so the pick is in for OKC and they will get, the former teammate of Bronny James in high school, Zaire Williams. Okay, who actually struggled in college. He was a star player in high school for Sierra Canyon. Pero sila ni BJ Boston struggled heavily. Okay, I'm just being realistic. They really struggled. I mean, you look at the numbers, shot 37% from the field. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Hindi naman yan yung ina-expect mong numbers from a guy who was a really, really solid. Hindi na superstar player to ng high school eh. Okay, but hindi masyadong naging maganda yung transition niya sa college and now he's gonna enter the draft. Take note, si Zaire Williams, bago mag-start yung NCAA season, nasa mga projected top 5 pick to eh. Tapos bigla ngayon, medyo bumaba talaga, no? 16. In fact, sa iba nga mas mababa pa. Okay, pero still, because he's still very young, ano ba yung mga meron siya? No, na nakikita pa rin na, may potential siya. So, again, still very young. 6'8", 185. Yun, solid tools yun for a forward. First, he does have to bulk up. Ngayon, he also has great athleticism, can create his shots. Pero yun nga, sabi nga natin, he does have to bulk up. Hindi pwedeng 185 lang siya. Okay, tapos ito, isa pang problema, yung dating sa finishing at the rim, even though he's 6'8", he was regarded as a below average finisher. Kasi hindi rin consistent yung 3-point shooting niya. So that's as a result, he's being compared to Josh Jackson, who actually played well for the Pistons last year. Pero, ang tagal, di ba? Ang tagal bago, buti nga, nabigyan pa ng break yun si Josh Jackson. And then another guy is Jonathan Isaac, who's still recovering from an ACL injury. So those are the comparisons for Zaire Williams. Let's now proceed to the next team, and that next team is the Memphis Grizzlies. This pick can very well go to the New Orleans Pelicans, by the way. Pwede pa itong mapunta sa Pelicans kasi nga dun sa kanilang proposed trade. Okay? So, kung sa Grizzlies, hindi natin siya masyado na pag-usapan. Ayan, shoutout dito kay sa aking dating professor na si Professor Diego Chimar. Yan, professor ko siya sa philosophy before. Sobrang solid yun na Memphis Grizzlies fan. Like, grabe siyang diehard Memphis Grizzlies fan. So, kaya unang pinag-uusapan yun sa Grizzlies kasi nga, kanina hindi natin sila masyado na pag-usapan. So anyway, if this pick goes to the Pelicans, then so be it. Pero the Grizzlies, they are looking well. They're really looking good. Meron silang very solid young core. If ever that hindi matuloy, pero malamang matutuloy naman yung deal na yun. And the Pelicans will be getting instead si Cameron Thomas. Sorry, hindi ko na napansin na may mga nagbago dito sa slides dito sa Google. Kaya nag-overlap na. Okay, so si Cameron Thomas, 6'4", 210. Pro body for a freshman. Typical bucket getter. Reminds me a lot of Malik Monk and Will Barton. You know, yung parang there are people who are born to score. This guy is one of them. Averaged 23 a game in college. Even though he shot only 40.6%. So yun yung medyo iffy doon, guys. Kasi 23 points per game niya, pero high volume naman and very, very low efficiency, especially with his shooting. And then, even if he averaged 23, take note, he only shot 32.5% from deep. Diba? So, again, concern lagi yan kasi nga, because of the way the game is played. And then ito, may mga weaknesses pa siya na taking wild shots. And, no, shoutout sa co-host ko. Kaya lang, hindi kasi sila available today. No? So, shoutout kay Joseph Alfonso. Kasi merong Joseph Alfonso mentality itong si Cameron Thomas. Walang sabi dito, has never seen a shot that he didn't like. Yeah, Joseph Alfonso mentality. Yeah. Anyway, ano lang yan, biruan lang namin yan. Shout out kay Joseph na pagaling ka boy dahil dyan sa kaka-vaccine lang eh. He's not feeling well. Okay, so yun si Cameron Thomas and he will most likely will end up with New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, so here we go again. Under na naman, or on the clock. Yan, lagi na lang tong Thunder or on the clock. Ano ba yan? Ilang pick na ba ng Thunder yan? Okay, so dahil kanina pa sila dito nagpipick, so the pick is already in. Ayan, ito ang may nag-uusapan ngayon. Especially ng The Ringer. Last year, ang kanilang favorite si Killian Hayes. Kaya naman itong pasensya na kung hindi ko talaga honestly sure kung tama yung pag-pronounce ko kay Alperen Sengun. If it's Sengun, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen this guy play actually. Pero for some reason, he's really moving. Take note, he's not, ang kanyang pro comparison is not Donovan Mitchell. Nagkamali, hindi lang na hindi lang na edit. So, pero, he's 6'9". He had really good numbers. Look at those, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 1.7 blocks. Pero again, for those who have seen him, ito yung mga scouts ng CBS, ito yung sabi nila, lacks the foot speed to guard in space. He's undersized for his position, so most likely siguro he played a lot of 5 siguro nung when he was playing sa Europe. And then he's more, sabi nga dyan, more of a traditional center kasi ito than a modern center. So that means, at 6'9", he's, kung traditional center, doesn't really shoot a lot of outside shots. Mas siya, yung post-game. Okay. But anyway, very high ang, sila Bill Simmons, very high on this guy. So, let's see. Thunder has, they have all the time in the world to develop guys anyway. Ito na. Yes, sir. Tayo. Walang limit. Bigyan naman natin ng konting bigyan natin ng gunshot to. Yan, yun. Kasi nga, ito, favorite to, die hard to. Co-host din natin dito sa Dimers TV. Walang iba kundi si Sir John Mer Mangotaran. Ako yan. Sobrang grabing die hard Knicks fan yan. Shout out kay Sir John Mer. Kung nanonood man siya ngayon. Di rin sila available. Kaya soloist ako ngayon. Okay? Ayan, so yung Knicks, they drafted really well last year. Even though medyo iffy si Obi Toppin, lalo na pwede naman pala makuha si Halliburton. Diba? Pero, ayun lang. Diba? Masaya ngayon sa New York. Eh. They finally made the playoffs. They have a culture now. And for us, they will be taking this guy. Hindi naman dahil... Ayan, okay. So si Ayu Duzon mo, take note may dalawang hindi magkasunod eh. May pagitna kasi yung Atlanta pero dalawa kasi yung pick sa New York. So una muna namin kinuha si Ayu Duzon mo. He's a junior from Illinois, 6'5", 200. Super solid numbers, 20 points per game, 6.3 rebounds and 5.3 assists. Tignan nyo dito sa kanyang scouting report, hindi lang sinabi na bucket getter siya, but rather, he's a big time closer. And that, para masabi yun sa'yo sa scouting report, ano ka talaga, considered to be a guy that can be depended on during the clutch. Tapos, what's good about him is that he also is a very strong on-ball defender, which is very important. Another one is his ability to defend multiple positions. Can attack and finish very well. And then, ang problem lang with the Sunmu is his ability to hit the long ball. Medyo may pagka-turnover prone din. And then, still developing as a shot creator in half-court situations. Ang pro comparison na binigay ng CBS si Delon Wright. Maybe because of the size. But let's see. He's more of a point guard din kasi. Pero kung bottom line naman, if you're playing for Tibbs and if you're a solid defender, hindi ka mawawala ng gagawin. No? Kasi defensive-minded naman si Tibbs. Okay, so now let's go to the Atlanta Hawks. What a season for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, what a season for them. Kasi nga naman, di ba? Like, they were like dead on water. And they fired Lloyd Pierce. Nate McMillan took over. And all of a sudden, they started winning games. And they made it all the way to the conference finals. In fact, I even, just for the sake of having some balance dun sa discussion, I even chose them to beat the eventual champions, Milwaukee Bucks. But of course, I was wrong. Okay, so the Atlanta Hawks, kahit na ganun ka-successful, because their record wasn't really that good anyway. They were in a 5th seed. So they are gonna draft pretty well. Ganda yung drafting position nila. And they will select Jared Butler from the defending champions, Baylor Bears, or the national champions, Baylor Bears. Okay, so si Jared Butler is a big guard, 6'4", 195. Great thing about him is that ito yung lagi mong hahanapin sa guardia. The way he plays the pick and roll. That matters a lot. And Jared Butler is a very good pick and roll point guard. And then another thing about it, in those 3 years that he played in college, he was a very, very good 3-point shooter as well. Ano lang naman yung dahilan kung bakit una-una, because bakit parang hindi siya nagiging lottery consideration? Kasi nga, he had this heart condition, that kind of, well, syempre, pag may mga ganyang conditions yung athletes, nakaka-worry yan. It might be career-threatening kasi. Tapos hindi rin siya ganun ka solid finisher at the rim. Pero again, kung solid ka namang 3-point shooter, and ka naman sa pick and roll, but of course, kailangan pa rin niya ma-develop yan. As of the moment, he's being compared to a Bryn Forbes. I think yung dahilan for that is because of his shooting. Okay? So, solid yan for the Atlanta Hawks, who love to shoot the long ball. Perfect fit siya. And now, as I mentioned kanina, the Knicks are once again on the clock. Okay, so last year nga yun, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, they made it to the playoffs. Siyempre ngayon, may mga vets na mawawala, Derrick Rose, mawawala, may mga rumors, babalik daw ng Chicago. Siyempre si Taj Gibson, baka hindi na rin. So, kailangan din nilang magdagdag ng mga back players. And for us, they will be taking this guy. The Sean Highland. Yeah, this is a surprise. Baka mapaganito na naman yung iba. NBA, kanina nagdabas na yung NBA TV ng mock draft nila. Pan 28 lang tong sina Sean Highland. Pero, ewan ko, pinili namin siya dito ilagay kasi unang-una ko lagi tinitingnan for the Knicks is dapat defender din yung player. Kasi yun yung gusto ng coach. Okay, so kailangan mag-fit dun sa gusto ng coach. And this guy, even though he's only 6'3", he does have a 6'9" wingspan. So syempre, kung may 6'9" ka na wingspan, athletic ka pa, tapos magaling ka pa mag-3, it really fits perfectly to the Knicks, no? Hindi nga lang siya yung type ng point guard sa mga nakapanood sa kanya na nagpa-facilitate. It's more of a scoring guard. Tawag na ni Lodi Mikey Reyes ang tawag na doon, points guard. No? So, parang ganun yun. Yung pagka-points guard kasi itong si Highland eh. No, and then ang pro comparison niya si Emmanuel Quickly. Si Emmanuel Quickly, ganun din naman. Points guard din naman yun. Pero it turned out really well. I mean, kahit naman yan, hindi naman niya magagawa yung pagiging, siya lang yung laging tumitira, di ba? So, then sa sistema, at least he'll be able to defend, especially with a 6'9" wingspan. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the next team. Oh my goodness, ito na, LA Lakers. Yan, mga team nila Jonas, team ni Joseph, team ng lahat. Gusto na lang, makuha lahat ng players kahit wala namang pag-trade. Eh, ganun naman talaga, mabira naman. Gusto mo makuha yung mga CP3, wala ka magpambayad. Gusto mo makuha sila Bradley Beal. Gusto mo makuha sila DeMar DeRozan, sila Kyle Lowry. Diba? Sino-sino yung gusto makuha, pero pande-trade mo naman si Kyle Kuzma. Eh, talagang wala yan. Parang niloko mo naman yung sarili mo yung pag-ganyan. Okay, so anyway, Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, lahat na yan, trade. Diba nga, isang araw, lumabas yung balita, si KCP, tsaka si Kuzma, in-offer na sa lahat, wala pa rin. Happy naman yun. Anyway, tingnan natin if they will keep this pick. Eh well, kung si Lebron ay GM Lebron na naman, even though this guy doesn't, yung pinili namin he's not projected to be a first round pick. Even though sinasabi maganda daw pinapakita niya during workouts, but because of the way he struggled nung college, he might slip into the second round. But if the king decides otherwise, convince niya si Rob Pelinka na itong kunin, then they will end up with Brandon Boston Jr. Alam ko yung iba mapapa. Yan, ganun. Kasi nga, Brandon Boston or BJ Boston struggled. My goodness, Kentucky didn't even look like they had all these highly touted prospects, but they couldn't even win. They had such a bad season. At kasama na doon yung super bad season ni Brandon Boston. literally struggled. And that's the reason why BJ Boston went from being projected to be a top 5 pick, number 3 to be very exact, to now probably not even making it to the second or to the first round. Kami lang yata naglagay dito kay Brandon Boston, and that's just because of the LeBron connection. No, kasi kaibigan to ni Bronny. No? So, I don't know, that's even valid. Pero let's just forget about what happened dun sa one and done season na yun ni BJ Boston. Balikan natin yung dati niyang pro comparison, si Brandon Ingram. He's like a smaller Brandon Ingram. Tignan mo naman yung 6'11 wingspan. He's 6'7. He's parang si Ingram, no? Yung skinny type, lanky player. And then he's still very, very young. He's only 19. Like Ingram, he does have to put on some weight. And then the problem is, he really, medyo iffy kasi talaga yung naging performances. So, I don't know how that would, ang punto doon, he struggled in college. But didn't shoot in college. So, how do you expect a kid to be shooting in the NBA? Okay, and for a team like the Lakers who wanna win now, I don't know. Pero tingnan natin, baka naman ma-turn around ni BJ Boston yung nangyari sa kanya sa Kentucky. Okay? Next. Yan, the Houston Rockets are on the clock again. Kanina pinili nila si Jalen Green. Kaya yata yung back-to-back na, back-to-back picks yata yung Rockets na. Sa pagkakalala ko. So, ito na, the pick is in for the Rockets and they select Usman Garuba from Spain. Sasabihin niyo, Diyos ko, bakit naman? Paano naman mapipili ito sa first round? 5.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, center pero 6'8". Yeah, but for some reason, the guy is really making it to all the mock drafts as a first round pick. In fact, doon nga sa CBS, top 20 pick pa nga to si Garuba. Okay, so ang gustong-gusto nila about kay Garuba is his great motor. He plays very hard. Ang kanyang pro comparison kasi si Kenneth Farid. Pero as expected, by just looking at the numbers, still very raw. Will never become a really good 3-point shooter. I don't know. And then at 6'8", well, maraming small ball naman ngayon. No? Pero may mga matatangkad na kasi may mga centers na rin naman talaga sa NBA ngayon. So, if we're gonna play center, I don't know, kailangan yan talaga mag-double effort in terms of his athleticism and effort. Gonna play the 5 at 6'8". So, we'll see. Tignan natin kung ano mangyayari. Okay? So, ito, Rockets again. Okay. So, punta na tayo sa next pick ng Houston Rockets. After nilang kunin si Jalen Green and si Garuba, well, they're rebuilding naman. So, siguro, si Clint Capella, before, when they took Clint Capella, ganun din naman, very raw, pero turned out to be a really nice player. Here, they will take Sharif Cooper. Yan, maraming may dito. Maraming fans to si Sharif Cooper. No? When he was in high school, so many of those, mga mixtapes, no? He's only 6'1", 180. And that's a generous 6'1". He's still very young. Problem is, he only played 12 games nung college. Tapos, you might be deceived by the fact that, well, he averaged 20 points and 8 assists per game. That's super solid, right? Like, you think of it that way. Yes, and he played in the SEC, diba? So that's elite. But, I think yun kasi yung isang bagay din kay Sharif Cooper, talagang yung shooting niya he's really a non-shooter at this right now. He's not a shooter at all. And sir, kung non-shooter siya, but average 20 points, he's kept on attacking. And then if you will look at the numbers, 39% from the field, hindi rin naman kasi talaga ganun ka-efficient. No? And then because of his size, can also be, yun sabi nga dyan, can be a liability on the defensive end. Even though no one questions his, creativity. May pagka-showtime din maglaro to si Sharif Cooper. 8.1 assists, hindi biro yun. Solid ball handler. Wala namang question doon, dati doon sa quickness niya. Pero again, sa NBA kasi ngayon talagang priority talaga yung shooting. So comparison ni Sharif Cooper, si Tyler Ulis. Marami nagsasabi para siya si Tyler Ulis. If you still remember Tyler Ulis. Used to play for the Phoenix Suns. And then another one is Trey Burke. Pero si Trey Burke more of a, eventually developed into a good shooter. A scorer, pero hindi din. Kasi siguro dahil hindi din masyadong efficient. Okay, so now we go to the Clippers. Medyo binalas lang din yung Clippers sa huli. No? They made it to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history. Thanks to Paul George. Pero wala. Pinulang na rin talaga sila dahil wala rin si Kawhi nung laban sa Phoenix. And yun nga, baka nga umalis na rin talaga si Kawhi. You don't know. Hindi naman natin masabi dun sa taong yun. Di ba? Noong 2019, sino ba naman mag-aakalang bigla na lang. Alam mo yun? Punta siya ng Clippers dahil may niluto na pala siyang kailangan makuha si Paul George, etc. But anyway, so yung pick nila, 25, si Trey Mann. Okay, so si Trey Mann from Florida. Taas ang confidence level nito si Trey Mann kasi when he was asked, syempre sabi niya, he's the best guard in the draft. That's ano ba natin sabihin? Ganito ka na lang pa ulit? Hindi naman sana pero like there are super talented cards in this draft. Pero sige, tiwala, wala lang masama. Talagang tiwala sa sarili niya. Okay, so he's a sophomore. Ang kanyang pro comparison talaga na nakita ko si Jordan Poole. Tapos din sa mga medyo mas OG. Like, si Devin Harris nung 2004-2005 Devin Harris na naglalaro pa sa Dallas. Pagka ganun yung laruan nitong si Trey Mann. Shot better from the 3-point distance ng kanyang sophomore year. And then, 6'4", so solid yan for a point guard. Even though he's only 168, he can create his own shot. No? But again, we don't really know kung ano ba siya. Like, kasi problem with combo guards is that parang gusto mo ba mag-score? Facilitate, hindi mo masabi. No? So parang masyado ko siyang in between. Parang ko naman nire-repeat na yung sinasabi. Kaya nga siya combo guard. But the problem is, how would he run a team? Let's say, point guard siya, unless talagang gagawin mo siyang specialist na scorer lang. Okay? And now the Denver Nuggets are on the clock. First tough season for Denver. Na-injure si Jamal Murray when they were playing against the Warriors. Sabihin niyo, paano ko naalala yun? Kasi si Jamal Murray, high player ko sa fantasy basketball. So when that happened, I thought my season was over. And that was it. Pero buti na lang, para ng mga tamang adjustments at naisalba at nakapanalo pa. Okay? So anyway, shout out nga pala sa aking mga kaklase ng high school na mga kasamahan ko dyan sa M-Boys Fantasy Basketball. I'm excited to see you all next season. Anyway, for the Denver Nuggets, babalik si Jamal Murray. Maganda yung pagkakakuha kay Aaron Gordon. They probably need a guy who would help them sa two guard position. They traded away RJ Hampton, who they drafted last year. And this time they will take Jaden Springer from Tennessee. Okay, so he fits the bill. Pagka-combo guard din, para siyang si Devontae Graham. I think that has to be like Devontae yata, parang mali yata yung pagkaka-type ko dyan. Tapos, greatest thing about Springer, even though the numbers won't blow you away, the fact that he was really like still very, very young. Like he's still 18 at the moment. Right? And even though he's still very young, very high IQ on both ends, can create his own shot, and then solid 3-point shooter. Okay, and then magaling din dumipensa. Okay, the only thing lang na medyo problema kay kay Jaden Springer rather, is yung hindi nga siya masyadong athletic. Hindi ganun ka-explosive. Pero, like if you're gonna put him there dun sa Nuggets team, ano yun eh, wala naman silang ganung player. Well, si Monte Morris, di ba? Parang kung si Monte Morris nag-fit in well with them, who was a second round pick for them. Why not Jaden Springer? Okay, next, we have the Brooklyn Nets. The big what if. What if hindi malaki yung masyado ni Kevin Durant at hindi siya nag-stepping? Baka kasi yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, diba? So, sa mga biggest what ifs doon, diba? Kasi that would have been it. The Bucks would have never made it to the conference finals had it not been for that Kevin Durant shot na nag-stepping. Diba? So, they're still loaded and naniniwala pa rin kami na isa sila sa mga major favorites to win it next season. And they will add another lottery pick unless they trade this pick. And they will get Jalen Johnson from Duke. First, Duke fans may not want to associate themselves with this guy because he left mid-season. Jalen Johnson was one of the top prospects coming out. And he was supposed to be the main man for Duke. And then he left mid-season and of course hindi naging maganda yun para sa of course medyo maraming nagalit ng mga Duke fans. Pero you cannot deny yung talent ni Jalen Johnson. And the tools, 6'9", 220. Ano yun eh, prototypical yun na forward na gusto mo, di ba, sa NBA ngayon. Guy who can play multiple positions, very great in transition, solid passer. Okay. Hindi pa siya masyadong magaling in terms of scoring within the system. Pero minsan hindi ako worried doon lalo na kung naglaro siya sa Duke. Kasi si Jason Tatum naman noon when he came out, hindi naman din siya regarded as he's gonna be this good as a scorer. Kasi nga, very system-based maglaro yung Duke. No? So, hindi ako masyadong worried doon sa part na yun. Pero sinabi din dito, it doesn't move too well laterally. Okay, so ang comparison sa kanya is a young Tobias Harris. Huh? Oh, sorry for that. Anyway, so si young Tobias Harris, yung Tobias Harris pa to ng Bucks. No? Nalala niyo nun, he got drafted. So may pagkaganon yan si Jalen Johnson. Okay, and then we go to the Philadelphia 76ers. Disappointing season? Yes. Very disappointing. Kasi, I mean, they have Joel Embiid, they have Ben Simmons, they have Tobias Harris. Pero wala eh. They still found ways to lose. Sabihin niya eh. Kasi si Ben Simmons, hindi naman si Ben Simmons na yung lagi sinisisi. Eh, hindi na yung panahon ngayon para magsisihan, no? Pero I think the Sixers, mahirap hindi ma-disappoint. Kasi nga, parang, they're supposed to be winning. They're supposed to be, like, going to the finals. May ganun silang klaseng talent. So, well, most likely, they will be trading Ben Simmons. Diba? Let's see if they will keep this pick. And for us, they will take Kentucky's Isaiah Jackson. Again, one of those guys who highly touted coming in. Pero wala eh. Struggled as well. Only 8 points per game, 6 rebounds. He's 6'10", but he's only 206. So obviously he needs to work on the body. Masyadong magaan yung 206. Pero bakit projected first round pick pa rin sa Isaiah Jackson is because of his 7'3" wingspan. He's super athletic. Yung mga typical bigs ngayon, mas solid na lob catcher, explosive finisher. Pero yun nga, just like with the other bigs who are like that, very limited naman yung offensive skill set nila. And then, ang isang bagay pa na napansin kay Isaiah Jackson based on the scouting report of CBS, medyo mahilig siya mag-foul. So, he gets into foul trouble a lot. So, comparison sa kanya is another Brooklyn Nets player, si Nick Claxton. Ayun. Pero sa dami naman ng taga-score sa Nets, perfect si Isaiah Jackson kasi hindi naman niya kailangan masyado mag-score doon sa team na yun. Kailangan lang niya gawin yung mga best things sa kaya niyang gawin. So, block shots, catch lobs, di ba? Finish those lobs, etc. And now the Phoenix Suns are on the clock. The second to the last pick ng first round. Yes, sir. Okay, so the Phoenix Suns, they were the number 2 team sa West. They made it all the way to the finals. They were up 2-0. Shout out sa lahat ng mga pumampi sa Phoenix Suns. Pinost kami isang beses. Like, may nagsabi na wala daw na natalo yung Suns, hindi na daw umaraw. Pero medyo may point nga naman siya. Sana move on na si Haring Araw at umaraw na uli kahit na natalo yung Phoenix. So, ayun nga, Phoenix, ano naman na dapat tayong banggitin sa Phoenix? They look good. First even, yun nga lang, ang worry mo, baka umalis si CP3. Diba? Kasi, ang point dun, malaki naman talaga yung naging turnaround nila dahil din kay CP3. So, medyo nag-hinge dun sa magsistay ba si CP3. Tingnan natin. And then, will they keep this pick? Ayan. Ito yung nagsasabi. Yeah, marami din magugulat siya. Marami din mapapaganon. Kasi nga, itong si Dayron Sharp, hindi to projected first round pick, honestly. In fact, sa CBS nga, parang number 38 lang nata siya or 39. Pero nilagay namin siya dito simply because si Dayron Sharp is someone that Phoenix needs. No, nakita naman natin kung gaano rin sila nabugbog ng Milwaukee because of their lack of size na definitely mabibigay naman ni Dayron Sharp, the former North Carolina Tar Heel, 6'11" and take note, 265 pounds. Okay. Malaki kung sa malaki. He's only a freshman so he's still very young. He's being compared to a young Al Jefferson, even though si Al kasi magaling, ano mo yun, si Al Jefferson talaga, known siya noon before for his scoring. Pero like Al, hindi rin siya masyadong ganun kagaling na shot blocker. As traditional big man kasi ito si Dayron Sharp. Pero ang bottom line kasi dito, hindi naman kailangan ni Dayron Sharp na ano, kailangan lang nila ng someone who could back up Aiton, di ba? And someone who can give them numbers. Sorry, may tumatawag. Okay. Ganyan, hirap pala talaga pag nagla-live. May mga tumatawag na lang. Okay. So anyway, that's Dayron Sharp. Will fit perfectly. Dahil kailangan talaga ng Phoenix ang malaki. And now the Utah Jazz. Marami rin na-disappoint. They were the number 1 team. Marami rin si-cheer sa Utah. Wait lang guys. So, we'll be back. Yan, sorry guys. Grabe, sobrang hirap pala talaga nitong nagda-live. No? Pasensya na. Okay, so we now have the Utah Jazz. Again, very disappointing in a way because we're the number 1 team. And they lost. They lost in the second round to the Clippers. And they lost kahit na na-injure na si Kawhi Leonard na yun, talo sila. Diba? Pero ganun talaga. See how they will bounce back. Sino kaya yung pwede nila madagang through this draft? Dito, si JT Thor ng Auburn. Kakampi to ni Sharif Cooper. Now, this is a guy who's, I'll be honest, this guy is a project. No? He's not ready to contribute yet. Pro comparison dito is para siyang si Al-Farouq Aminu. He's 6'10", 205 pounds. Average 9 points and 5 boards. He's a lefty. Gusto lang sa kanya is because si JT Thor, solid athlete, long strides. Medyo reminds you a lot of Pascal Siakam as well. No, but again, as of the moment, he's not yet ready in terms of just being able to contribute just yet. No? Kasi nga, ayan, 205 pounds. Tapos, for sure, he will be pushed around. So, if ever Utah gets this guy, most likely he'll be playing in the G League. Okay? Or get spot minutes. Parang ganun. Okay, so that's it for the first round. Any thoughts? So sige, habang matapos ng first round, check ko lang kung baka may mga, hindi ko alam, meron bang nanonood? Naman yata kasi masyadong nanonood. So, meron bang watching? How would I know ba? Ayan, shout out kina Roy De Guzman, kina Liam Ebriega. Ano pa ba itong mga nag-like dito sa ating live? No? And Todd, sige, habang ito, tapos ang first one. Ayan, tapos rin, shout out din kay sa aking co-host, Jonas De Guzman. Ayan. Then, shout out din. Ayun, sino pa ba yung mga nag-like? Ayan, sina Shoutout kay JJ Berinya, yan. Mr. Janmer, kay Carl Malilin, yan. Salamat sa mga sumusuporta dito sa ating live episode 3. Okay, so let's now proceed to the second round. Ito mas mabilis na lang to kasi second round na to. So first will be the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions. Yes, congratulations. Congratulations to the Bucks for winning the championship. Congratulations to Giannis, no? Grabe yun. Grabe yung pinakita niya. Okay, so last year they had a lot of second round picks, no? Jordan Nwora, sina Sam Merrill, okay. So they might add another second round pick here. This is okay na rin tong 31st pick kasi parang first round pick na rin to eh. And for us, they will take Miles McBride. Yes, sir. So si Miles McBride, NBA TV, no, kanina kita ko. Ano nila kasi ito projected first rounder, 28th pick. Pero sabi for us, he might slip to the second round. Might go to the Bucks. Ang ganda lang kasi dahil nga yung Bucks naman kasi they're not looking to add a rookie who will contribute right away. So this guy is a sophomore. He played for West Virginia, had solid numbers. Hindi siya considered as an NBA level reliable scorer type. Pero he's mentally tough. Can create also on the perimeter. And yun. He's gotten better. Okay, every year. Ang comparison sa kanya, if you still remember si Marcus Williams. I don't know if you still remember that guy. Used to play for the Nets during the, kailan nga ba, 2000, ano ba si Marcus Williams pumasok? Tama yung pagkakaalala ko, 2006 yan. Okay, next we go to the Knicks. And for us, they will take Trey Murphy. Yan, 32nd pick, Trey Murphy the third. I personally like how this kid plays. He's a junior, 6'9", 206. Even though the numbers, the numbers are not really that mind-blowing. 11 points, 3 rebounds. But because of the fact that he is 6'9", he's a great 3-point shooter. And then, pwede kasi siyang maging versatile defender. So reminds people a lot, or reminds me a lot, and kahit yung CBS at yung ibang scouts, parang siyang si Cam Johnson. Okay, so, yun, diba? Like, if you're gonna plug in, let's say sa Knicks, a guy like this guy, okay yun. Kasi 3-and-D eh. And then, let's go to the next team, the Orlando Magic. 33rd pick. They already had two first round picks kanina. So, ito, another guy, very raw still, si Joshua Primo, played for Alabama, but and the numbers, 8 points, 8.8 lang na assist per game for a guard. That's like, okay, what's up? Diba, like, talaga? Like, paano naman, bakit ka naman madadraft? No, but because he's only 18, he has really a lot of upside. Great size at 6'6", and has the potential to be a really solid defender. Even though, still very raw. Ang comparison nila kay Gary Trent Jr. Pero kasi kaya ako si Gary Trent Jr. kasi talagang shooter na siya ever since. Hindi naman pa ganun si Joshua Primo. Pero let's see, he's 18. Maybe pag develop sa G League, we're gonna get someone who's can be a steal dun sa draft. Okay, let's now go to the next pick, the 34th pick. The OKC Thunder selects Kessler Edwards. Okay, so si Kessler Edwards played for Pepperdine in the West Coast Conference. Hindi siya masyadong, yung handles niya still needs to improve. He's a junior, by the way. And then, ang maganda sa kanya yung, yun yan, sabi nga dito, good instincts, pwede siyang maging pick and pop na forward. Medyo weird looking lang yung release niya. He's being compared to former dunk champion Jeremy Evans, maybe because of, just the body type, 6'8", 215. And then, he's not the type naman kasi na you run plays for. He just knows how to move without the basketball and, get open layups, get dunks, etc. Next, let's go to the next team, the Pelicans. Ano ba ito? 35th? Yeah, the 35th pick. The Pelicans select Quentin Grimes. Yan, sorry, wala siyang available na kailangan pang hanapin sa basketball reference. Ayan, yung numbers niya, 17 points per game. Played for Houston. It's a mid-major team, of course. Hindi siya... Kahit a mid-major team ang Houston, that's where Hakeem Olajuwon played, Clyde Drexler. Diba? He shot 40% from deep, and he shot a lot of threes. 8 attempts per game. So you're really looking at a guy who's a specialist. 6'5" to 05. A junior. Ano talaga siya? 3-and-D as well. Guy can shoot the ball well from 3 and a solid perimeter defender. And rebounded well also for a guard. Ito yung mas parang Gary Trent Jr. ang datingan. Okay? And then next, 36 pick, OKC Thunder selects Aaron Henry. Okay, Aaron Henry. So mapapansin niyo yung mga juniors at yung mga seniors dito na pupunta sa second round. Aaron Henry is from Michigan State. 6'6", 210. Solid numbers. 15.6 point, 5.6 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Kailangan niya talagang ma-improve yung shooting niya because he only shot 29.6%. He's also, some of the weaknesses, medyo may pagka-streaky and inefficient. Pero just like with other, Tom Izzo prospects, very active yung active. He's considered to be an active defender. And then, okay din yung body niya, prototypical 6'6", 210. Solid facilitator as well. It reminds me a lot of, or scouts a lot, or reminded, pinipili nila lagi si Brandon Rush. Okay. And then next, for the 37th pick, the Pistons, they will go with Josh Christopher. Ayan, tingnan nyo naman yung strength sa kanya. Bounce, 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 bounce. Kasi grabing leaper si Josh Christopher, who played for Arizona State, one of the highly touted prospects when he came out of high school. He's only a freshman. Reminds you a lot of a Kelly Oubre Jr. Didn't particularly dominate the way people thought he would. That's why he, siyempre magsislip siya sa second round. Bakit nga ba ganun? Kasi may pagka-inefficient. Tapos, yung jump shot needs to improve as well. And now we go to the Chicago Bulls. Ilan na ba ito? Not so sure. 37th ba? 38th. 37th pick for the Chicago Bulls. First for the Bulls, disappointing kasi si Zach Lavine kala natin they really went for it when they acquired Vucevic, but it didn't translate into wins. So, medyo tough yan for the Bulls. Tapos nawala pa yung first round pick nila. So, because of the way the lottery balls bounced. And for us, they will be getting Western Kentucky's Charles Bassey, who averaged a double-double during his junior year in college. 17.6 points, 11.6 rebounds. Dito nagdaro si Japeth Aguilar before sa Western Kentucky. Ito si Charles Bassey. This guy is the one who is very much like Clint Capella. So, solid siya. 6'11", 235. Isa rin to sa mga inisip namin na pwede rin kunin ng Phoenix. No? Kung hindi si Dayron Sharp, pwede si Charles Bassey. But let's see if he ends up with the ball. Solid to. Has a 7'3" wingspan. He's a really good rebounder. And how about 3.1 blocks per game? You know, sabihin nyo na well, sa college naman yun. Yeah, but that's still 3.1 blocks per game. Okay. Ayan. Next. Now, ito na. Yung team na naman ni main man Kevin Cruz, the Sacramento Kings. I think this is the 38th pick in the draft. Ayan. I don't know. Well, itong si Joe Weiskamp from Iowa reminds me a lot of a former pick of the Sacramento Kings. Para siya si Nick Stauskas. No? He's more of a role player for sure sa NBA because he will be a three-point shooter. He can also create off the dribble. And he was very efficient while playing for Iowa. The problem kasi dun sa Iowa, they really struggle defensively. Kaya sinasabing he will be coming from a very poor defensive culture there. And then for some reason, even as a shooter, ewan ko kung ano nangyayari yun eh. He's a very good three-point shooter. Pero he really struggled from the line. Only shot 67.7%. Tapos, of course, yun lagi nagiging problem for some college players. How will they be able to defend then sa next level against great athletes? Especially if, given that Weiskamp is not really much of he's not super athlete. So yun lang. Next, 39th pick, let's go to the New Orleans Pelicans. And they select Greg Brown. O yan, isa pa yan, si Greg Brown. So si Greg Brown was highly touted as well. Right? Sobrang highly touted din si Greg Brown. Kaya parang medyo nakakagulat that he didn't perform that well when he played for Texas. And yun, he's still a super athlete. He's still considered as one of the elite athletes of this draft. He showed great instincts with his defensive rebounding. Naniniwala pa rin ng mga scouts na he still has the all-star potential. But because he's still very young, and then 6'9", 205, and then he didn't really play that well, like 9.6 rebounds. But he did play only 20 minutes. So, yung parang it's easy for a team to gamble on a guy like Greg Brown who has all-star potential, and then you will get him in the second round. Especially a guy like him who was very highly touted nung high school. So, ang pro comparison din ni Greg Brown ay si Jonathan Isaac. And then dito na tayo sa team nila Sir Paul Lareza, ni Sir Tonio Borromeo, yung San Antonio Spurs. Dito sila magaling eh. Magaling sila kumuha ng mga second round picks, and they usually take European players. Pero this time for us, they will be taking Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who came from a super solid program sa Villanova. Simple lang. Why do we like Jeremiah Robinson Earl going to the Spurs? You look at the tool, 6'9", 230, solid pedigree. Right now sa Olympics, assistant coach pa ni Greg Popovich, si Jay Wright. So, ayan, i-recommend din. He played really well. Yung kanyang sophomore year, 16 points per game, 8.5 rebounds. Solid yung mid-range game nito. Solid teammate kasi nga yung winning culture sa Villanova. And then he can defend a lot of possessions. Medyo magiging tweener lang ng konti. Sinasabi nga dito na if it was 2005, he would have been a lottery pick. Diba? The way the game was being played. Pero ngayon, he will most likely be a second round pick. Para siyang si Matisse Thybulle. Ang ganun yung style. Okay. Now, for the Pistons, who got Cade Cunningham nung first round, medyo may mga marami silang second round picks. They did very well last year, by the way. Got the guy like Sadiq Bey, di ba? Hindi, pero Sadiq Bey at his first round. They did drafted really well last year. So, that's something that would be advantageous to the Pistons if they will continue that trend. And they can get Isaiah Todd. Okay, yan. So, third player from the G League Ignite na draft for us. Very underrated si Isaiah Todd, but I think he played really well. No? Especially during the G League season. Problem is, season really kasi parang mas older siya than the others. But I mean, 12 points, 5 rebounds. Solid solid naman yan. And he's really a good 3-point shooter. Pick and pop kind of guy. Can shoot from the outside. I think kung ang titingnan niyo si Isaiah Todd as a guy who will fit in with a particular role, okay yun. Now, if you're expecting him to be like a dominant star, hindi okay yun. Kasi I think you're expecting him to do things na probably hindi naman siya talaga fit for that. Pero if you're looking at a guy who will give you rebounds, solid 3-point shooting for a big, di ba? Floor spacer, stretch big na tinatawag, then okay na pick si Isaiah Todd. Next, we go to the Pelicans. Okay, so for the Pelicans, ayan, some would be surprised. Yan, mapapawat na lang yung iba dyan kung bakit namin nilagay dito si Luka Garza. For the information of everyone, Luka Garza was the National Player of the Year. Yes, he was the best player in college basketball. 6'11", 265. He averaged 24 points per game and 8.7 rebounds. Shot 55%. Pero sasabihin nyo, sir, bakit, or Dimes, bakit napunta siya sa second round? Siya pala yung National Player of the Year. Because he's the classic example of a solid college player or great college player but might not end up translating well in the pros. Ang reality kasi, Luka Garza has low feet. Diba? He struggled kahit nung college defending yung sa mga perimeter players. And that will be the case. Hindi mo magbabago yun eh. Diba? Kasi that's just how he plays. And yung upside niya, being a senior, hindi din masyadong mataas. So that's the reason why he will be most likely in the second round. Ngayon, ang thing lang about kay Luka Garza is pwede pa nga siya maging undrafted. Pero, I mean, he's a National Player of the Year. Parang hirap naman kung gagawin mo siyang undrafted. Diba? That's why we still placed him here in the second round. And then the next pick, the first, the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, select Austin Reeves from Oklahoma. And so, Lakers fans, si Austin Reeves will remind you a lot of an Alex Caruso type of player. The size, 6'5", 206. Sa mga OGs, parang medyo may pagka Kirk Heinrich siya. Okay, it's not as, well, si Caruso kasi is athletic. Si Austin Reeves hindi masyado. Pero he's crafty, he's a good passer, he's an excellent free throw shooter. Produced numbers for Oklahoma. But again, will most likely be a role player in the next level, and we'll have to find a team that will really, or that he will really be able to fit in, para makapag, well, not just makapag-contribute, you can just to even make the team for that man. Okay, next. Okay, the Boston Celtics. weird lang how for the past how many years Boston will always have so many picks, pero this year nag-end yun. They now have a second round pick only. Okay, so for Boston, they will select Herbert Jones from Alabama. He's 6'8", 210. Ito na yung mga seniors, no? Dito na nakukuha. Lefty player itong si Herbert Jones. Kind of struggled going to his right. Numbers are not gonna blow you away. But he's a really, really solid defender. And, reminds you a lot. I don't know if the kids know this guy, si John Salmons. Yeah, sa mga OGs yan. Kilala nila yan. Parang ganun. Ganun ang style ni Herbert Jones. Main talaga niyang calling card is defense. Yan. And, if we're taking a guy in the second round who's 6'8", 210, okay yun eh. Like, if you're just looking to fill in, diba? And develop a player, he's not gonna try to be a star, but, just do his role. Yeah, perfect fit si Herbert Jones. Now, the Raptors, first round, pinili namin na kukunin nila si Jalen Suggs. Now, let's look at who they will get here in the second round. May mga picks sila dito sa second round. And we will go with Rokas Jogubaitis. I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly. Maybe it's Rokas Jogubaitis. He only averaged 8 points and 4 assists. But this guy, he's one of those. Bihira kasi sa mga mock drafts, especially for yung, siyempre hindi na alis yung nilalagay yung mga NCAA players. So, this guy, si Jokubaitis, was actually placed there as one of the top prospects. No? So, he's from Lithuania. He's a very crafty pick and roll player. Pwede pang gumaling yung kanyang outside shooting. Pretty decent siya sa mid-range. A lot of people, those scouts are saying medyo may pagka-Goran Dragic daw. We'll see. He can be a draft and stash. No? Kung hindi man siya magka-come over agad, pwede naman siya mag-play pa muna sa Europe. So again, the Raptors are gonna take again back-to-back picks sila dito sa second round, and they will take Daishan Nix. Yan, si Daishan Nix. Again, baka maraming nagugulat kasi si Daishan Nix, we're not really sure if he's gonna get drafted. Yung mga numbers niya sa G League, 8.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists. Siguro isa sa mga naging downside nung sa G League Ignite. Kasi baka masyado silang na overanalyze. No? Yun yung sa tingin ko medyo nangyari doon. Kaya si Jalen Green, kahit siya naging biktima niya. Pero kung tutusin, si Daishan Nix, if you're anything about it, he put up 8.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.3 assists, not in college, but in the G League. No? So, ano pa rin yun? I mean, meron nga kanina, diba, there are some prospects nga that even produce well in college, pero they're gonna go earlier than Daishan Nix. So, ang makagandaan dito si Daishan Nix, nakapaglaro na sa G League, nakapag-training na siya as a pro for 1 year. And that will help him a lot. Even though, of course, ang number one, kahit sinasabi ko, February pa lang, talagang shooting ni Daishan Nix ang problema. He's right now a iffy shooter. And yan, binanggit na rin dito, he has to shed weight. At 224, he's super stocky for a point guard. Kailangan niya talaga magbawas. No? So, of course, sabihin na iba, like, si Dimes naman, kung bumanat, nalaman naman ang payat. No? Anyway, that's for Daishan Nix naman, who's vying to be an NBA player. And he may not be a shooter, pero grabe namang magaling talaga siyang mamasa. No? He has elite vision. And because of that size, no, hindi siya nahirapan mag-adjust din sa physicality. Okay? Yung pagka-Kendall Marshall, yung laruan ni Daishan Nix. In fact, maybe kung 2012 ngayon, baka nga si Daishan Nix lottery pick. Okay? And now we go to the Atlanta Hawks. Yan. So the Atlanta Hawks, ayan na nga, no? So they're just looking for guys to hopefully will make the team. Kung hindi naman, maybe they'll go for someone na stash nila. And they will go with this guy. Dito is a stash, no? He's a nice project. Si Jericho Sims. Yan, ang dami din kasi nila naglaro sa Texas, no? Pati sila Greg Brown. And as a result, lahat sila tuloy na apektuhan. Well, si Jericho Sims, he's the senior, no? Siya na yung senior, 6'10", 245. Bakit hindi masyadong or bakit siya nagpo-fall dito? Kasi nga, of those weaknesses, very poor free throw shooter, hindi siya offensively, very passive siya offensively. And yun, yung problema din ng ibang mga bigs, hindi kaya mag-defend ng mga perimeter players, which is an essential skill that they need para sa NBA. So, ayan. So, strong finisher around the basket, solid rebounder naman siya, very athletic, good shot blocker. Reminds us a lot of Jackson Hayes. Now, the Brooklyn Nets again are on the clock. And they will take si Philip Petrusev. Now, he put up some super numbers in Europe at 23.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3.8 assists. Like, he put up those super numbers. Pero, kung familiar kayo sa college basketball, he actually played for Gonzaga. He did. No? So, hindi naman na bago yung sa kanya. No? Still compared to like parang Zubac type. Ang problem lang kasi kay Petrusev is rin siya yung old school big. No? So, he's not the type na paano ko para sasabihin niya? Like, how would he fit in dun sa modern game if he's not a guy who can take threes and then he will also struggle defending, diba, as a big. Baga, masyado siyang may exposed. Yun lang yung nagiging Pero still, quality, siguro project pick in the second round. And then let's go to the Sixers. So for the Sixers, yung pick nila, si Jason Preston. Now, if they end up getting Jason Preston, that would be solid. Si Jason Preston impressed so much, lalo na nung NCAA tournament. Doon talaga, Jason Preston went from not being considered as a draft prospect to being considered as a draft prospect. Okay, so if para siyang si Lonzo Ball, high level, feel for the game. Magaling talaga siyang mamasa. In fact, some scouts are saying si Jason Preston is arguably the best. He's like the best playmaking point guard of this draft. And then look at the numbers, 15.7 points, 7 boards, 7.3 assists. He was a walking triple-double in college. So if the Sixers end up with this guy, okay yun. Kasi he does things that, let's say a Ben Simmons does, pero he's a better shooter. Okay, so he will be, I see this guy as a guy who will be, like 5-10 years from now, sabi niyo, si Jason Preston, he slipped all the way into the second round. Next pick, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay, so for the Memphis Grizzlies, we have David Duke from Providence. Okay, so si David Duke, ang kanyang pro comparison, parang si Shake Milton Um, bucket getter, great size for a shooting guard. And sabi dito, extremely good work ethic as well. Worry lang nila kasi parang yun nga, bakit ang baba ng shooting niya sa 2-point range. And ito na naman, yung doesn't finish at the rim as well as he should. You know, that's always a concern. But you know, if he can work on those things, then David Duke will be a solid pick as well here in the second round. Now let's go to the Pistons, and the Pistons select Joel Ayayi from Gonzaga. First, he played with Jalen Suggs. Put up decent numbers, 12.7 boards, 3 assists. He was a very, very reliable shooter from 3-point distance. And yun nga, ang isang laging napapansin kay Joel Ayayi is his ability to rebound the basketball or a guard. He's not the most athletic player out there. And hindi naman siya ever naging top player ng Gonzaga. But that can also be a good thing kasi he's used to being a role player. Kasi maganda nga itong pro comparison sa kanya si Nicky Alexander Walker. Kasi si Nicky Alexander Walker, I mean, may potential yun na maging really good player. So high praise yun for Joel Ayayi. Next, we go to Nicky Alexander Walker's team, the Pelicans, and they will select Matthew Hurt from Duke, the sophomore from Duke. Ito yung mga typical Duke players na 6'9", 235. Reminds you a lot of yung mga dati yung mga Kyle Singler, di ba? Yung ganyang mga players ng Duke. Lagi may ganyan silang klase ng player. The Josh McRoberts of the world. Pero ito si Matthew Hurt, iba siya. Iba yung laro niya dun sa more on para siyang si Kevin Martin, you know, for the OGs. Naalala pa si Kevin Martin who used to play for the Sacramento Kings and the Houston Rockets. He will be, I think Matthew Hurt has a chance to be an effective role player in the league. Just because of the fact that he can really shoot the ball very well even from deep. Like NBA range. And then, well, he used the shot fake very well while playing for Duke. Hindi kasi masyado napansin ng Duke ngayon kasi hindi masyado nanalo dahil nga kagulo, di ba? Umalis yung best player nila mid-season and they didn't really win a lot of games. And then, yan, yung ability ni Matthew Hurt to create his great space. That matters a lot. Yun nga lang, medyo may defensive liability. But let's see, maybe he can fit in as a solid shooter for a team. And then the Pacers last year, they got they got some picks as well, diba? And then, yung problema nga sa Pacers, they probably made a mistake with the coaching change. Pero nandun pa naman sila Domantas. And they can add this guy, Scottie Lewis from Florida. Very athletic guy. Compare siya kay Derrick Jones Jr. He's a sophomore, pero naging problema kasi yung nag-regress yung kanyang shooting. And then you look at the numbers, 8 points per game, 3 boards. So paano naman draft yan? Yung baba naman ng numbers. Pero again, it helps if you are a guy who's really athletic and you have an excellent wingspan kagaya nito because you can really be a great defender sa NBA. And if he develops, let's say, a 3-point shot, then you're looking at a 3-and-D guy. But again, kasama rin sa yung pagiging undisciplined. So he may have the tools to be a good defender, pero if he doesn't play with yung sinasabi nilang higher IQ on the defensive end, sayang lang yung tools na yun. Now let's go to the Thunder. Okay, so for the Thunder, Yan, yung senior point guard ng Kansas na si Marcus Garrett. Yeah, he was like the leader of that team. Solid lockdown defender, and he facilitated well for Kansas. You know, he was their point guard, lead guard, as they call it. Para siyang si Bruce Brown ng Nets. Yun nga lang, yung 3-point shooting niya, medyo iffy, pati yung free throw shooting niya. And yun yung dito sa second bullet point na lacks polish and overall touch in his in-between game. Yun yung dahilan kung bakit si Marcus Garrett is not considered as a first-round prospect. Kasi nga, offensively, parang medyo limited siya. And to think he's already a senior. No? So, parang hindi na masyadong yung upside, not so high anymore. And then the Hornets. Ayan, the Charlotte Hornets, they select Raekwon Gray. Ay, ito yung pinili namin. Maganda yung comparison na to kay Eric Pascal kasi parang ganun talaga siya maglaro. Doesn't have a 3-point shot. So Eric Pascal can hit some threes now. So yung ibig sabihin, maybe Raekwon Gray can also work on that. But you know, at 260, he's a physical, that's a prospect right there. Physical specimen yun. Di ba? 260, 6'8", 260. And again, that, makikita natin if he will be able to, kasi baka mahirapan din siya mag-translate kapag he'll be playing with that at 260. Pero makikita natin isa na naman he showed that he could handle that body. Medyo may pagka-prone sa fouling at sa turnovers. But he's only a sophomore. Can still develop. And then the Hornets again. Ayan, si Aaron Wiggins from Maryland. He's a solid shooter from deep. He doesn't need the ball. It's not like he doesn't need the ball. He's more of a guy who moves well without the basketball. Hindi siya masyadong yung type na nag-create ng shot for his own, pero more of a guy who moves through screens. So, ang naging problem lang niya talaga is dahil nga hindi naman siya yung type na nag-a-attack sa basket, so hindi siya masyadong pumunta sa free throw line. May pagka-streaky din. No? So, pag alam na natin yan, pag medyo mainit, pag hindi masyado, medyo may pagka-patak-patak yung laro. And then, turnover prone din si Aaron Wiggins. Pero si Aaron Wiggins, been working out with a lot of teams. So, let's see. Ano naman, projected to be drafted. Okay, and then next. Ayan, punta na tayo sa New York Knicks. And they will select DJ Stewart. Ayan, some mock drafts project this guy to go undrafted. He was a starting point guard for Duke, the freshman point guard. Sabihin nyo, okay naman 13 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, and he played for Duke. Problema kasi Duke was not a good team last year. Okay naman yung naging performance in terms of initiating the offense. Tapos okay din naman yung pinakita niya sa defense. Again, he's only 162. So he probably needs to add more weight. Obviously needs to add more weight. And because lalo na din, he's only 6'2". No? Tapos, even if he facilitated well dun sa system na yun nandun, he's not the type na may yung mga tipong may elite vision. He's more of an average passer. So, kung ipuput mo siya in a situation wherein he's gonna be more of a scorer rather than a facilitator, then maybe yun, magiging okay yun for DJ Stewart. Okay, he's actually compared to Kendrick Nunn. So, let's go to the Nets. Okay, so for the Nets, natin, Ayan. So, for the Nets, ang kukunin nila, ayan. Moses Wright from Georgia Tech. Pro body for the senior, 6'9", 233 pounds. He averaged 17 and 8. Sobrang solid yon. Ito yung gusto ko. Pro comparison niya si Bobby Portis. No? Because, yung laruan nitong si Moses Wright pang modern big. He can defend. And then, hindi lang yung sa loob, pero pati yung sa perimeter. Tapos, okay naman yung kanyang shot blocking. And then, more importantly, he shot 41.4% from 3. So, the only problem is that he shot only 60% from the line sa kanyang career. Ngayon, yung 23% na yan, okay lang yun kasi career naman yun eh. And then, as a senior naman, he shot naman 41%. Okay, so definitely not a passer si Moses Wright as he had more turnovers and assists. But, okay yan kung tipong you can defend as a big, not just other bigs, but even the perimeter guys. You can rebound well and block shots, and then you can hit the three. That's not bad for a second round pick, right? Now let's go to the Pacers again. And the Pacers will, si David Johnson from Louisville. He averaged 12.6 points, 5.8 rebounds, 3.2 assists. Aside from the fact na medyo kahawig nga niya ng konti si Spencer Dinwiddie. Ayan, kahit yung laruan, medyo pareho din ni Spencer Dinwiddie. The young Spencer Dinwiddie. Namin na rin kasi naging improvement si Spencer Dinwiddie sa laro niya. So the young Spencer Dinwiddie, parang na rin si David Johnson. Difference lang, hindi naman siya na ACL. And he's only a sophomore. Nag-improve yung kanyang 3-point shooting. He's a very dynamic playmaker. He's more of a combo guard. But again, the problem is then the size is there at 6'5", pero yun nga, 3.2 turnovers, masyado madami yun. Hindi rin siya masyado nagpunta sa free throw line. And then medyo iffy yung kanyang shot selection inside the arc. And that is it. That's the end of the second round. So for those who watched the whole episode 3, maraming salamat. Okay, I don't know kung may mga nandito pa. Most likely wala na. So wala na rin naman ang dagdag. So anyway, special shoutout na lang to those who watched our draft episode. Okay, so sana next time available na rin ulit yung mga co-hosts na sina Jonas, si Joseph, and si John Mer. So again, this is J.I. Dimes. Thank you for watching episode 3 of Dimers TV, our mock draft. And we'll see you the Friday for the actual draft. Keep safe, everyone.